I was actually looking at your review, Stephen. Might even have it up here, actually. Let me see. Yeah, let me read the, if you don't mind, Stephen, if you can.
Sure.
So this is the one paragraph of yours that I thought gets at a lot of stuff. So Da 5 Bloods is Spike Lee at his best. Some of the dialogue is a bit too on the mark. I agree with that. But for the most part, the extended social context for what we see is effectively blended with the heist film. There are obvious homages to movies like Apocalypse Now and Three Kings. I never thought of Three Kings. And I love the stinking badges making an appearance. All of the actors are at the top of their game, which is worth mentioning because Delroy Lindo is on another level entirely, and I fear the others will be lost in the deserved acclaim for Lindo. And of course, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. works in the catchphrase that he first spoke in an earlier Spike Lee movie, and then you link to him with his shit. So I like the point you make about Delroy Lindo, but in not to lose the whole context of the other actors. And I think in our last conversation, I had to actually ask because it was so out of memory. If, of course, I can't remember his real name, but if the guy who played Lester was in The Wire, and yeah, he actually was one of my favorite characters in the film. We talk a little bit about the acting, Stephen, because you did mention some stuff about it the last time.
First, I mentioned, I'm pretty sure when I wrote that we still had Chadwick Boseman. And now, when I say Delroy Lindo is going to get all the attention, well, now Chadwick Boseman gets everybody's attention, rightfully so. And not as much for this movie, of course, but I would fix that around in that sense. Beyond the acting, though, although I think I said in the last one that when there's so much good acting, look at the director, they did something right. But I think maybe earlier in that same thing, I talked about Spike Lee, who is one of our greatest directors. He turned out some stinkers. Nobody's going to argue with that. His great movies are great. And yet, I might have even cited it. How much money did Netflix give Scorsese for The Irishman compared to they gave Spike Lee for The 5 Bloods? Because, and this is not to take Scorsese down, but Spike Lee is closer to Martin Scorsese than the amount of money that Netflix gave him. So that's what I would say. So that's part of it, is somehow Spike Lee's made all these great movies and yet he's underrated. I don't know how that can be. Unless they're looking at it and they're saying, well, what about, actually I like Bamboozled, but pick one of his movies that wasn't any good. Yeah, sure. So that's one of the things I would like to mention, is that Spike Lee, one of these days,
So is
had a lot of good acting in his movies.
So would you take it as far as to say, and this is the stuff about movies I really don't know much about at all, like the more of the business of it, I guess, but is Spike Lee someone who would still at this date even have some trouble getting movies made? Is that
I think
true?
so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know. You'd want to look at box office figures because that's what they care about as much as anything.
Yeah.
When has he had a big, giant box office success? But beyond that, yeah.
What was his biggest movie? What is his?
I would say Do the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing was his best movie, but I don't know if it made the most.
I think because of all the controversy at the time, I think it did well.
Could be.
Do you think if we hadn't been in the pandemic, because Da 5 Bloods sure got like across the board amazing reviews and people saying Academy Awards and all that stuff. So I wonder if that might have been right up there for him in terms of box office success. Who knows?
I mean, it's certainly possible, and so as you say, it's so hard for us to guess on box office right now. And I don't know, I want to say they're the children of Spike Lee, but someone like Ryan Coogler, I don't think he's made a bad movie yet. Of course, he's for us over here in Berkeley. He's right next door in Oakland. But Fruitvale Station.
I liked Fruitvale.
Creed, was it? And, well, I'm blanking out, but he made a lot of movies with Michael Jordan. this guy's great and he hasn't made a bad movie yet, and he gets money.
Mm.
And I think it's because Black Panther maybe or something. He has made money, so he gets money.
Okay.
Not Spike Lee has ever had that size of a movie. He's never been given a franchise movie that I know of.
Okay.
The one thing I know about Spike Lee is that he spent years trying to get the financing to make his Jackie Robinson film and never did. And it got passed on to whoever made it.
Yeah. One thing I would add about Da 5 Bloods, I'm glad you mentioned Chadwick Boseman. Just slipped my mind. And I can honestly say, well, two things. I don't think I'd seen Chadwick Boseman in anything before. I actually saw some of the Jackie Robinson story on TV once, and he's the star of that. But I don't think I watched the whole thing. I've seen Black Panther subsequently, but that was my first real exposure to him. And as soon as the movie was over, like that was by far, for me, the best part of them. Like, I just loved the sequences that he was in. I don't want to give too much of that away for Phil. I think that is a good thing to sort of not know too much about before you watch the film. It's just, he's just sort of a different character in the movie than everyone else. And I thought he was just absolutely stunning in it, actually. And
he's so consistently great, or was, I guess now, that's not a spoiler to say, oh, and Chadwick Boseman is one of the best parts of the movie, because he's one of the best. I must have seen him in something. Must have been on a Law and Order TV show or something. But
well, and just the way that
great.
role was written too, it just was really cleverly done. And I have to say, it's one of the movies, and they do this, this is done in a lot of movies, but the sort of back and forth between the present and the past, in some ways that's a bit of a cliche, but what ends up happening in the present is what really surprised me most about the film.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming at all. I thought the film did have some weaknesses, maybe. I have a hard time sort of pinpointing it right now. I thought maybe it was a little on the long side. There was a music thing. I don't want to give this away to Phil for sure, which I was a little.
Don't worry about it, Scott. Don't worry.
Well, I was a little disappointed in what he tried to do something quite interesting with one song in particular, and he ends up playing a couple times, and I just didn't think it just didn't really work for me. But no, overall, I thought it was a pretty great film. Little on the longish side for me, and I like your phrase and you said something about what did you say in yours? The dialogue is a bit too on the mark. I think there was a little bit of that here. Oh, I did want to ask you this: how did you feel about Delroy Lindo's character being sort of the blatantly sort of Trumpish? Like, he had the Make America, he had the MAGA hat on. Did you?
It clicked for me. And I know what you're saying. I was too impressed with his acting, and I believe that them as excuse me, as brothers. So if they wanted a MAGA guy in there, that was okay with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
No, I thought it worked. But it was one of those things though where I was thinking, I think I was conscious of it. Like, is this going to work, or is this too obvious? Like a placement, and he's the one who's kind of like that. He ends up like the most troubled from his experience in NAM and stuff, and now he's got the MAGA hat on. And at first I thought, is this going to be a cliche? Like, it sort of feels like it's heading there a little bit. And I think he was the one who he had a reference to Rambo or something. The performance just kind of blows that concern out of the water, I guess, or whatever. So he's really good. I mean, there's no question about it.
Spike Lee did make another film this year. I don't know if you remember, and I never saw it, but at the beginning of the pandemic, he made kind of a celebration of New York, I think. And it may have just been something that he threw on YouTube, but it did get some attention. It was in that first few weeks after March, like maybe in April, that he put it out.
He's in the Fran Lebowitz doc a few times.
Oh, okay. I want to ask you guys, just because Michael Jordan's name came up, he's the quarterback, right, in the last 2 seasons of Friday Night Lights?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. He's great in that. And Fruitvale Station's the only other thing I've seen. And Steve McQueen, I wanted to mention, I've never seen another Steve McQueen film.
No, neither.
Have you ever watched The Wire?
Did he sorry, was Michael Jordan in The Wire, or did Steve McQueen direct some of The Wires?
No. Michael B. Jordan
Yeah.
was the first season of The Wire.
Oh,
Right. That's right.
Spoiler alert, whatever, but
No, I saw, yeah. What happened? Which character did he play?
he played the guy who gets killed in like episode 8 by his friends.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
Wallace.
Yeah.
Wallace was his name. After that, we were like, because that was the first I'd seen him. And it's like, well, this guy will be Wallace forever. And then he was in Friday Night Lights. At least he was still playing a young person. And then all of a sudden, here he comes. And he's in all these movies, and he kicks ass in every one. He's one of those people again.
I've been meaning to go back. Fruitvale Station is one of those films that just kind of it stays in your mind, you know?
Yes.
And I do plan on watching it a second time.
And I don't know how for you guys, because I know that Toronto often gets used as a substitute for somewhere else, especially in
It does.
Vancouver gets it on the other side. But for us here in the Bay Area, Coogler's movies, if they have Oakland in them, they're real. And in Black Panther, which has a segment in Oakland that he actually filmed in like Georgia or something, but he knows enough to make it seem like it's Oakland. So we saw Black Panther the first or second day it came out in a theater in Oakland. And okay, maybe they overestimated it, but they got into that part, even though it takes place in Wakanda. It's similar with a lot of the Pixar movies. Pixar's Emeryville is right next door to us, and that's where Pixar is. And so they're always having these scenes where cars go on freeways and they go by exits, and we know where they are. We recognize them, or they'll put a little restaurant in the scene, and you know that's a cute little something.
Well, you're reminding me of a movie I really want to see. I've wanted to see it for a couple of years. It's that movie with the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, the hip hop artist from The Coup. And isn't it all about Oakland or something? Or?
I saw that film.
No.
Oh, you saw it?
I saw that film. Yeah.
Yes.
Weird film.
What's it called again?
So strange.
I'm blanking out now. Sorry to bother you? No, was he Sorry to Bother You?
Yes, Sorry to Bother You. That's it.
Sorry to
I
Bother
really want
You.
to see that.
Yeah.
It wasn't an Oakland movie. It was, but
oh, okay.
And it's hard to say it was a Boots movie because he never made a movie before.
Boots Riley.
Boots Riley. Yeah.
We know of him because he'd been making music for a couple of decades, but no, it wasn't. It was right on top of Get Out in some ways, and it was similar.
Exactly. It seemed to, Get Out opened up a certain space for it.
But Get Out was more of a horror movie, and Sorry to Bother You, that's when you don't want to tell too many spoilers.
No, but it was.
It got like
imagine you
he's
can't
a
watch
Marxist.
that movie
He's a
and know what's coming.
Marxist, and it's kind of got that. It's got a real political subtext or something.
Yes.
He's like
can't
an
help
avowed
himself
Marxist
as far
or
as that
whatever.
goes.
So.
And I'll throw in another film because of geography and because it was also strange. And the lead character was Black. I don't know about the director. What was it about? San Francisco was in the title, I think. Do you know the film? It just came out last year.
Oh, The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
That was it.
And I have to
That
say
was
I haven't
strange.
seen it, but I know which one you mean.
Yeah, like
And the guy-
not anywhere near the horror film elements of Get Out or.
I think the actor was in Lovecraft Country. I might be wrong on that.
Okay, it was a very strange film.
Lovecraft Country.
Shit.
I don't have Stephen will have to carry this one, but Portrait of a Lady on
Yes,
Fire.
I want to know if you did, whichever one of you have seen it.
I've seen it.
By now, I'm used to you guys picking up on the music cues and stuff. And I loved Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Just put that down now. And there is a music scene in it. I don't know, maybe 2/3 of the way through. I have a link to it if you want to sneak it in there, where the two main women, they're kind of wandering around. Can't remember exactly how they set it up, but they end up with a lot of other women around the fire, and then just gradually,
That was great.
quietly at first, and then it gets louder and louder, and you realize they've got a whole a cappella thing going with parts, like this person picks it up there, and it's incredibly moving, and it seems to come out of nowhere, but it fits perfectly. And I think of you guys and something like that. It wasn't a song. I think it was a real song, but who knows what. But it wasn't like oh, look, they just put that song in there. No, it
Right.
was very integrated to the thing. But I thought it was one of my favorite musical interludes in quite a while.
That scene was great. You know what it was like, Scott? It was like that bizarre Aboriginal music in The Leftovers. It kind of it had made the same impression on me. By the way, just for Scott, it's the same woman that directed Girlhood, I believe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not Allison Anders, is it?
No, not Allison Anders.
Celine Sciamma.
Yeah, she's French.
Talking about that.
Right,
movie.
the French woman. Yeah. We talked about her. Okay.
And I think she is her significant other is the lead actress from.
I think it was her. They were.
Was okay, yeah. I was going to say that I read one funny comment. I don't know why. I was looking at something to do with Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and somebody was complaining about the title, that it was too literal. That, oh, it's about a portrait of a lady. It was probably one of those silly YouTube things or silly Amazon comments. Why did they call it this? It's about a lady. It's about a portrait of a lady on fire. Couldn't they have come up with a better title?
Yeah.
It's very atmospheric film. You know, that's about all I can say. It made an impression. I think that was the last film or second last one I saw before the pandemic.
Very much of a slow burn.
Slow burn, but it held my attention.
And I even checked with her before we came on. And I said to my wife, "Is it okay if I tell them you like this one?" Because, and yes, she loved that movie. And what happens in it, it does have some things that happen, but it's very slow. They don't like meet in the first scene and then get together in the second scene. And no, it takes 2.5 hours to get there. And it's worth it.
And it had a nice coda. I can't even remember which one of them goes on to. Okay, Scott, that's fine.
Yeah, I saw that there.
Which one of them goes on to get married? And it wasn't the painter; it was her subject, right?
Well, you know what? I'm blanking on that. What I'm thinking of is the very last scene when they're at the opera or the orchestra.
Yeah, that's the scene I'm thinking of.
Okay, and the artist is on one side, and then the other one's on the other side, and the camera gradually goes to the woman, the subject of the painting, and we just get a close up of her face, and she has emotions changing, wonderful acting, and then the movie's over.
Yeah, no, that's exactly.
Whether she got married or what, don't remember.
I thought for sure she was with somebody. I don't know.
Both of them, they both come in. They go into the thing where they have to walk in front of everybody to get to the end of their row, and it happens to one woman, and then they go to the other side, and the exact same thing happens. So she's sitting by herself, at least at that particular moment. But it doesn't mean,
Okay.
I'm always looking for an excuse to watch it again. I got it on Blu-ray and haven't opened it yet. So
I'll watch it again.
so give me an excuse.
And when you mentioned the music, sorry, I just flashed back, not to go out of sequence or anything, but there are a couple of pretty good, at the very least, maybe better than that, pop music moments in The Nest.
Yes.
They were playing really well-known stuff. And there was one song that just floored me. I said, wow, it was Husker Du or somebody like that, or Camper Van Beethoven. I can't remember who it is. I should have looked that up ahead of time. And then they had some British stuff like the Smiths. It had actually had a pretty good soundtrack.
Sorry, I had to step away.
Scott?
Yeah, so I just, families,
Yeah.
daughter with Google Classroom issues and stuff. So at 11:20 p.m., never mind that, but anyway.
So yeah, you would probably like this film, Scott.
So did you? I'll listen back, obviously, but did you? I know Stephen liked it. Were you a fan of it, Phil? Or?
I liked it. It was one of my better films that I saw. I counted as a 2020. It actually came out late in 2019, and I think it might have been, I don't know, in terms of awards, I think it might have been up for something last year, foreign film or something.
I liked it the best of all the movies we've talked about.
Oh,
Oh.
really?
Okay.
Maybe the Five Bloods right up in there, but yeah, they were nines. If I put a number on them, they were nines.
Have you seen Girlhood, Stephen?
No.
Okay. I think, well, you talked about that you like films about teenage girls. I think you'd really like that
Yes.
one. It's very thoughtful and got some great music in it.
Okay.
Highly recommend that.
I'm gonna say now because we're almost done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know it. I've tried to fix my Flickr and it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah.
It's
Still
weird.
flicking
It's
sometimes.
weird though. Last time I didn't really notice it during the call, but then when I was putting together, listening back,
Right.
looking back, as
I got
I
kind
don't
of
find it.
spooked.
I don't find it too distracting. It's not all the time.
At one point, right where my finger's pointing, it flickered and my face was right here like I was a ghost. It was kind of spooky. I don't know if you saw that or if you.
Yeah,
I was
think
like,
I did notice
whoa, what was that?
that.